I held Cooper in my arms as his breathing became shallow, his brown eyes looking up at me with the kind of trust that makes you believe in something pure. The fluorescent lights of the emergency veterinary clinic buzzed overhead, harsh and clinical, while the clock on the wall read 2:17 in the morning. My golden retriever had been my companion for 8 years, a gift I'd given myself when I landed my first real job out of college. He'd been there through promotions, through meeting Jennifer, through the wedding, through everything. Now he was dying. I didn't know why. We're doing everything we can, Dr. Sarah Chen said, her voice steady but her eyes showing the truth. The toxicology panel should give us answers, but his clinics are shutting down. The symptoms are consistent with poisoning, likely antifreeze ingestion. Poisoning. The word hit me like a physical blow. Cooper never left our fence alone. He didn't eat things off the ground. Someone had to have given it to him. Jennifer stood behind me, her arms crossed, her face showing irritation rather than concern. We'd been married for 7 years, together for 9 total. I was a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company, pulling in $120,000 annually. She was a registered nurse. Though her income had become sporadic over the past year, she claimed the overtime shifts were exhausting, that she needed to cut back. I'd covered the difference just like I paid for her nursing degree, just like I handled the mortgage during her 6-month career transition after graduation. I contributed roughly $75% of her household. I've never thrown it in her face, not once. Marcus, can we talk about how long this is going to take? Jennifer asked, checking her phone for the third time in 10 minutes. I have an early shift tomorrow. I didn't respond. I was stroking Cooper's head, feeling him slip away. Dr. Chen glanced at Jennifer, and I caught something in that disapproval or disgust. Mr. Patterson, we need to discuss quality. Dr. Chen continued gently. Even if we stabilize him, the damage may be permanent. We might need to make a difficult decision. That's when Jennifer said it. Right there, in front of Dr. Chen and 2 veterinary technicians who'd stopped what they were doing. It's just a dog, Marcus. You're being dramatic. Maybe this is a sign we need less distractions. The room went silent. One of the vet techs actually gasped. Dr. Chen's jaw tightened, and she looked at me with something like pity. I felt something crack inside, but I didn't show it. I kept my face neutral, kept stroking Cooper's fur. Just a dog, I repeated quietly. You know what I mean, Jennifer said, her tone defensive now. I'm just trying to be practical. We can't afford thousands of dollars on a pet when we have other expenses. We could afford it. I could afford it. I'd been setting aside money for months for a vacation she wanted to take. $15,000 sitting in our savings account. I didn't say that. I just nodded slowly. Cooper died at 3:41 in the morning. I felt the exact moment his heart stopped. Dr. Chen pronounced it, her hand on my shoulder, her voice breaking slightly as she offered her condolences. The vet techs actually cried. Jennifer stood near the door, scrolling through her phone. I signed the paperwork for cremation. Dr. Chen handed me her card. If you need anything, she said. Something in her tone made me look up. She held my gaze for a moment longer than necessary. Anything at all. And Mr. Patterson, those symptoms. Antifreeze has a sweet taste. Dogs don't usually seek it out unless it's mixed with something appealing. Someone had to have given it to him deliberately or left it somewhere very accessible. You might want to check your doctor carefully. I drove home in silence while Jennifer slept in the passenger seat. She'd complained about being tired, about needing rest for her shift. I watched the road, hands steady on the wheel, and felt something cold and clear settle over me. Not rage, not grief yet, just absolute, crystalline clarity. When we got home, I walked through our house. Our yard was fenced and secure. No antifreeze stored anywhere Cooper could reach. No spills, nothing. I checked the security camera system I'd installed 6 months ago after a neighborhood break in Scare. The cameras covered the backyard, the driveway, the front door. I'd never checked the footage regular. Jennifer had said it was paranoid. I went to my office, closed the door, and opened my laptop. Started reviewing footage from the past week, fast-forwarding through days. And then I saw it 3 days ago, 2 in the afternoon. Jennifer in the backyard with Cooper's water bowl. She looked around first, checking if anyone was watching. Then she poured something from a small bottle into a bowl, mixed it with her finger, set the bowl down. Cooper came running, tail wagging, trusting. He drank. I watched it 3 times. I wanted the woman I'd loved for 9 years, the woman I'd supported financially and emotionally. She'd charging $200 per hour, but his reputation was impeccable. We met at a coffee shop downtown, and I showed him the security footage on my laptop. Jesus, Torres muttered, watching Jennifer poison Cooper's water. That's premeditated animal cruelty. That's a criminal charge in this state. I need to know if there's more, I said. I need to know everything. Torres took the case. Within 48 hours, he had preliminary findings. Jennifer wasn't working overtime. She was meeting someone at a hotel near the hospital. The same hotel, the same room, every Tuesday and Thursday evening for the past 4 months. The man's name was Derek Bone, pharmaceutical sales representative she'd met through work, 38 years old, divorced, no kids. Torres provided photos. Jennifer and Derek entering the hotel together, leaving together, kissing in the parking lot. Timestamps matched perfectly with her claimed overtime shifts. There's more, Torres said. During our second date, I told her phone to the subpoena authorization you'll need for divorce proceedings. She's been deleting text messages, but the metadata shows communication with Vaughn's number multiple times on the day your dog died. There were 17 texts between them. I can't get the content without a photo, but the timing is suspicious. She killed Cooper to create an opportunity. The pieces put together. If I was devastated, grieved, she could pretty much give me space. She could stay out there without question. That's my assessment. This wasn't magic. This was calculated. I paid Torres his retainer. Then I went to see her. Robert was in a downtown all-dark room, specialized in high-asset divorces. His consultation was by doctors for 90 minutes. Animal cruelty is criminal. Combined, this gives us significant leverage. I showed him everything: security footage, the PI report, toxicology results from the vet. His file stating the poisoning was consistent with deliberate administration. Kensington leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. Mr. Patterson, this is one of the strongest cases I've seen. Your wife committed a crime to facilitate adultery. We can file for divorce, citing her adultery, and request that she receive 0 spousal support. Given your income disparity and the length of marriage, she'd normally be entitled to substantial support. Not anymore. We can also pursue criminal charges separately. What do I need to do? He asked. First, secure your assets. Open a separate account at a different bank. Transfer 70% of your joint savings. That's proportional to your contribution. Do it tomorrow. Second, I'll need a retainer of $10,000. Third, gather any additional evidence. Financial records showing you paid for her education. Documentation of your income versus her. Serve her second. Confront never. The confrontation happens in court. I nodded, taking notes. The house is the mortgage in both names. Yes, but I've made 100% of the payments. I have bank statements proving it. We'll argue for you to keep the house, or force a sale with you receiving majority proceeds. The lease being in both names complicates things, but we can file for exclusive occupancy. Given the animal cruelty, a judge may grant it. How do you feel about her being forced to leave? I feel fine about it, I said. Kensington smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Then, let's build your fortress. Over the next 3 weeks, I executed every step. I opened an account at a credit union across town and transferred $42,000 from our joint savings, leaving $21,000 for her. I compiled financial records going back 7 years. I had Torres continue surveillance, building a timeline of the affair. 17 hotel visits documented, 43 restaurant dinners, weekend trips she'd claimed were nursing conferences. I got Dr. Chen to provide a formal statement about Cooper's cause of death and the likelihood of deliberate poisoning. I made copies of the security footage and stored them in 3 separate locations, including a safe deposit box. Kensington filed the divorce papers on a Thursday afternoon. Adultery cited, animal cruelty cited, request for exclusive occupancy of marital home, request for 0 spousal support, equitable division of assets favoring my contributions. The court date was set for 6 weeks out, but the papers would be served in 5 days. I had one more preparation to make. Went to a pet store and bought supplies: a bed, bowls, toys. finish what Jennifer started when she poured praise on her best friend's work. Everything was in place. The fortress was built. The evidence was ironclad. The legal machinery was built. Now came the part I've been waiting for. Now I got to watch her world collapse. If you've made it this far, you're invested in seeing the hit that subscribe button because you won't want to miss what happens next. I went home that evening 5 days before the paper. Smiled at her. Not a big smile, just a small, satisfied curve of my lips. The kind of smile someone wears when they know something good is coming. She was standing in the kitchen, still in her scrubs from an actual shift this time. Torres had confirmed she'd really been at the hospital today. No Derek, no hotel, just work. Maybe she was feeling guilty. Maybe the guilt had an expiration date that was fast approaching. You're smiling, she said, her tone curious but cautious. Good day at work? You could say that, I replied, setting down my laptop. I walked to the refrigerator and pulled out a beer, taking my time opening it. Things are really coming together. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What things? Just things, I said, taking a sip. Projects, plans. You know how it is. I could see her trying to read. For 3 weeks I'd been quiet, withdrawn, grieving. I'd barely spoken to her beyond logistics. Where's the remote? I'll eat later. I'm working late. Now I was smiling in vain. She didn't understand the shit. Marcus, are you okay? She asked. You've been so distant since Cooper. I've been worried about you. The concern in her voice was almost convincing. I wondered if she practiced it in the morning. I said, actually, I'm really good. I started out to do this. That's great, she said, but her expression said otherwise. What changed? Perspective, I replied. Sometimes you just need to see things clearly. You know what I mean? She didn't know what I meant, and it was obvious from the way she shifted her weight, the way her feet turned against the counter. I guess, she said. So, do you want to talk about Cooper? We never really processed it together. There's nothing to process, I said. My smile never wavered. What's done is done. Can't change the past. Over the next 4 days, I maintained was remaining pleasant, calm, slightly distant, but not hostile. I hummed while making coffee. I made eye contact during conversations. I asked her how her day was, and actually appeared to listen to her answers. That sounded exhausting. Her paranoid view of each passing day. She started asking more questions. Why are you being so nice? You're always nice. You're different. What's going on? Nothing's going on. It's weird, Marcus. It's weird that you're suddenly fine after barely speaking to me for weeks. Maybe I'm just resilient. She started checking on me more frequent, coming into my office while I worked, asking what I was doing on my laptop. I'd close the screen and say, work stuff, confidential. She'd hover. I'd wait. She'd eventually leave, frustrated. On Sunday evening, the night before the papers would be served at her workplace, I found her standing in the bedroom doorway, watching me pack my gym bag. Are you seeing someone? She asked abruptly. I looked up, genuinely surprised by the question. What? Are you having an affair? Is that why you're so happy? Why you're being secretive? The irony was so profound I almost laughed. Instead, I just shook my head. No, Jennifer, I'm not having an affair. Then what is it? I zipped up the gym, stood, and walked toward her. She stepped back instinctively. I stopped a few feet away and looked at her directly. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, I said. You should get some rest. What happens tomorrow? You'll see, I said, brushing past her toward the bathroom. Trust me, you'll definitely see. I took a long shower, letting the hot water wash over me, and mentally reviewed every detail one final time. The papers were ready. The server was scheduled. Torres was on standby. Kensington was prepared. Everything was in place. Tomorrow morning, Jennifer would arrive something was wrong, but couldn't identify what. The process server was scheduled for 9 o'clock. I'd taken the day off work, told my boss I had a personal matter to handle. At 8:45, Torres called. We're in position. Server is ready. Should be walking in within 15 minutes. Keep me updated, I said. At 9:17, my phone buzzed. Torres, papers, sir. Multiple witnesses. She's reading them now. Looks like she's in shock. I didn't respond. I just waited. Kensington had predicted she'd leave work immediately, probably claiming a family emergency. He was right. At 9:43, I heard her car in the driveway. The front door slammed open so hard, it bounced off the wall. "Marcus!" she screamed. "Marcus, where are you?" I was sitting at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, laptop open in front of me. I looked up calmly as she stormed in, still in her scrubs. The divorce papers crumpled in her fist. Mascara already running. "What the hell is this?" she demanded, slamming the papers onto the table. "What the hell did you do?" "I filed for divorce," I said evenly. "I thought the papers were pretty clear about that. Adultery? Animal cruelty? Are you insane? This is slander. This is defamation." "It's neither," I replied. "It's truth, but let's start at the beginning. I have some questions for you, Jennifer. Simple questions. I just need honest answers. If you're feeling the rage right now, smash that like button. Let's get justice together." She was breathing hard, her face red. "I'm not answering anything until you explain this insanity. Where were you on Tuesday evening, 6 to 10, I asked, ignoring her demand. "I was working. I had overtime." "Really? What floor were you on?" "What? Simple question. What floor? What unit?" She hesitated. "ICU, third floor." "Try again," I said. "The ICU has you clocked out at 5:45. Where were you from 6 to 10? Her face went pale. "Who have you been talking to?" "Thursday evening," I continued. 6 to 9:30. Where were you?" "Marcus, stop this. Where were you?" "I was at the hospital." "No," I said calmly. "You weren't. You were at the Marriott on 7th Street, room 214, with Derek Vaughan. You've been there 17 times in the past 4 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday you claimed overtime." The color drained from her face completely. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "How long have you been sleeping with him?" I asked. I don't. "How long, Jennifer?" "It's not what you think," she whispered. "Then what is it? Explain it to me." She sank into a chair, the papers falling from her hand. "It just happened. It didn't mean anything. I was going to end it." "When?" I asked. "When were you going to end it? Before or after you killed my dog?" Her head snapped up. "What?" "Cooper," I said, my voice dropping. "Let's talk about Cooper. Why did you do it?" "I didn't. Marcus, he just got sick. It was tragic, but..." "Stop lying." The words came out harder than I'd intended. I took a breath, regained control. "I asked you why. I need to understand why you would murder an innocent animal." "I didn't murder anyone." I turned my laptop around. The security footage was queued up. I pressed play. She watched herself pour antifreeze into Cooper's water bowl, watched herself mix it with her finger, watched Cooper drink. Her face went from pale to gray. Her hand went to her mouth. "Oh my God." "The veterinarian's toxicology report confirmed antifreeze poisoning," I said. "Your actions killed him, deliberately, premeditated. I need to know why." Tears started streaming down her face. I didn't mean for him to die. I just wanted him sick enough that you'd be distracted, that I could have more time with Derek without you questioning where I was. It wasn't supposed to kill him. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a hammer. She'd been willing to torture my dog, to make him suffer just for convenience, just for a few extra hours with her affair partner. I reached into the folder next to my laptop and pulled out a document. I tossed it across the table. It slid to a stop in front of her. "What's this?" she asked. Her voice barely audible. "Read it." She picked it up with shaking hands. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. These are already filed. This says filed 5 days ago." "Correct," I said. "This isn't me asking for a divorce. This is me informing you that you're already divorced. As far as the legal process is concerned, the court date is in 5 weeks. The machinery is already in motion. You can't do this without telling me." "I absolutely can." "I did. You were served this morning, which is exactly when the law requires." She kept reading, her breathing becoming more rapid. "Exclusive occupancy? You're trying to kick me out of my own house." "My house," I corrected. "I've made 100% of the mortgage payment. I have 7 years of bank statements proving it. The deed might have both our names, but I paid for every square foot. And yes, I'm requesting exclusive occupancy. Given your animal cruelty, I'd say my chances are excellent." "My animal cruelty? This says you're pressing criminal charges." "I am animal cruelty in the 2nd degree. Class C felony. You could face up to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Though, realistically, first offense, you're looking at community service, probation, and a permanent record." She stared at me start being the man who'd make you face what you did. She stood abruptly, her hair scraping back. I want a lawyer. I'm not discussing this anymore without representation. You should definitely get one. I agreed. You're going to need one for the divorce and for the criminal charges. I'd recommend someone good. This isn't going to be easy for you. You son of a bitch, she hissed. Is that really the angle you want to take? Insulting me? She grabbed her purse, her movements frantic. I'm leaving. No, I said calm. Actually, you're not. Not permanent, not yet. You have 30 days to find alternate housing. That's the standard notice period. But starting today, you sleep in the guest room. Starting today, we're roommates at best and enemies at worst. Starting today, every word you say can and will be documented for court proceedings. She turned back to me, tears and rage mixing on her face. I loved you. No, I said. You didn't. People who love each other don't do what you did. They don't betray. They don't murder innocent creatures for convenience. They don't lie and scheme and destroy. You loved what I provided, my income, my stability, my willingness to be your safety net. While you played with me, you never loved me. That's not true, she sobbed. It doesn't matter anymore, I said. True or not, it's over. The papers are filed. The evidence is compiled. The court date is set. You have 30 days to pack your things and leave. If you're not out by then, I'll have the sheriff removed you. Do you understand? She didn't answer. She just stood there, shaking, crying, destroyed. Part of me, a small part, felt sorry for me. The rest of me thought about Cooper's eyes, about his trust, about his last moments of suffering. That part felt nothing but satisfaction. I asked if you understand. I repeated, I understand, she whispered. Good. Now get out of my sight. I can't stand to look at you. She fled. I heard her footsteps pounding up the stairs, heard the guest room door slam. I sat back down at the kitchen table and finished my coffee. My hands were sweaty. My heart rate was moving. I just destroyed my marriage, eliminated my wallet, and set in motion a legal battle. Months of time and tens of thousands of dollars. And I felt absolutely nothing but cold, clear relief. Was I justified? Did I take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I pulled out my phone and texted Torres. Confrontation complete. She knows everything. Maintain surveillance until she leaves the property. Then I texted Kensington. She's aware and hostile. Proceeding as planned. Then I stood up, walked to the front door, and left. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't look back. I just got in my car and drove away from the house I'd paid for, leaving behind the woman who killed the most full friend I've ever had. The real work was just beginning, but the hardest part, the confrontation, is over, and I've won. The first week was chaos. Jennifer called me 37 times. I answered none of them. She sent text messages that devolved from apologies to threats to desperate pleas. I forwarded them all to Kensington. She showed up at my office on Wednesday, demanded to join. Security escorted her out. Torres documented it. She posted on social media about being victimized by a vindictive husband. 3 mutual friends who knew the truth commented with the facts. She posted the post within an hour. Derek Vaughn stopped returning her calls the day after the papers were served. Torres confirmed it. Apparently, an affair is exciting her exceeding her confidence. A girlfriend her facing on and a message on her significantly less. Jennifer texted him 42 times in a few days. On her mother, Mrs. Davis never called again, but Torres reported that Jennifer's parents stopped answering her calls too. Even family had limits. While Jennifer's world collapsed, mine began to rebuild. I'd started therapy in week 2, processing the betrayal. The profession specialized in infidelity trauma. Dr. Morrison was pragmatic and direct. "You're not broken," she told me. "You're hurt. There's a difference. Broken means unfixable. Hurt means healing is possible." I threw myself into work with renewed focus. The project I'd been leading for 6 months, the cloud infrastructure overhaul for a major client, came in under budget and ahead of schedule. My director, Amanda, called me into her office on Monday morning, week 4. "Marcus, I'm promoting you to Senior Solutions Architect," she said. "30% salary increase, effective immediately. You earned $156,000 annually." I thanked her professionally, but inside I felt something shift. The pieces of my life rearranged, something better than before. I started running again, something I abandoned during my marriage because Jennifer complained that the word was wrong. 5 miles became 7, 7 became 10. The weight I gained, years of comfortable complacency, melted away. I returned 8 weeks after the confrontation. I'd lost friends I neglected during my good beer after. I went. The group was 12 people, ranging from mid-20s to late 40s. They welcomed me without prying questions. We hiked. We talked about trail conditions and gear recommendations and nothing heavy. It was exactly what I needed. On the 3rd hike, I noticed a woman around my age struggling with her pack. I offered to adjust the straps. She smiled gratefully. "I'm new to this," she admitted. "Sarah Chen, I'm a veterinarian, so I'm used to dealing with animals, not altitude." I stopped mid-adjustment. "Dr. Chen?" She looked at me more carefully. Recognition dawned. "Mr. Patterson?" "Marcus." We stood there on the trail, the coincidence so improbable it felt like fate. "You joined a hiking group," I said. "You lost weight," she replied. "Then, I'm so sorry about Cooper. I think about him sometimes. About that night." "Me too," I said. "Every day." We hiked together that morning. At the brewery afterward, we sat across from each other and talked. Not about Jennifer, not about betrayal, about dogs we'd loved, about trails we wanted to hike, about whether pineapple belonged on pizza, which sparked a heated debate that made us both laugh. She was funny and intelligent, and she had a rescue dog named Justice, which made me smile at the universe's sense of irony. "That's an interesting name," I said. "He was seized from a cruelty case," Sarah explained. "Owner went to jail. I fostered him during the trial and ended up adopting him. We exchanged numbers. She texted me that evening. "Thanks for fixing my pack and for the company. Want to hike again next week?" I did, and the week after, and the week after that. By week 12, Jennifer had been formally charged and accepted a plea deal. 1 year probation, 200 hours community service, $5,000 fine. No jail time. The nursing board suspended her license for 6 months pending completion of her sentence. She'd have to disclose the conviction on every job application. Divorce proceedings moved forward. Kensington was ruthless. Jennifer's attorney, overworked public defender she'd gotten through legal aid, was outmatched. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge awarded me the house, 75% of the marital assets, and 0 spousal support obligation. Jennifer was ordered to pay half the legal fees, $15,000 she didn't have. I was in the parking lot of a Whole Foods on a Saturday afternoon. When I saw her, she was getting out of a 15-year-old Honda Civic with a dented bumper, wearing clothes I recognized from our marriage. She'd lost weight too, but not in a healthy way. Her face was drawn, her hair limp. She looked 10 years older than her 32 years. She saw me at the same moment. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other across the parking lot. Then she walked toward me. I didn't move. "Marcus," she said when she reached me. Her voice was hoarse. "Jennifer, you look good," she said. "Really good. Thank you." My cousin, the one with 4 kids. I sleep on her couch. I'm working at an urgent care clinic as a receptionist. $11 an hour. It's all I could get. She didn't respond. Just waited. "Derek won't talk to me," she continued. "Parents barely talk to me. Most of our friends chose you. I'm broke. I'm alone. I lost my career. I lost everything." "Yes," I said simply. "You did. Do you feel better?" She asked, tears flowing. "Does my suffering make you happy?" "No," I said honestly. "Your suffering doesn't make me happy, but it does make things easier. You made choices. These are the consequences. I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. I'm sorry." She was for all of it. For Cooper, for the affair, for everything. "I'm so sorry." "I believe you," I said. "I believe you're sorry now that you're facing the results. But you weren't sorry when you were pouring poison into his water. You weren't sorry when you were meeting Derek at hotels. You were only sorry when you got caught." She wiped her eyes. "Is there any chance no chance. There's no reconciliation. There's no friendship. We're divorced. We're done. You're part of my past. And that's where you're saying, are you seeing someone? She asked. I thought about Sarah, about hiking trails and rescue dogs and conversations that flowed easily, about the way she'd held my hand last weekend while we watched the sunset from Rattlesnake Ledge, about how she'd met me where I was, broken and healing, and hadn't demanded anything I couldn't give. Yes, I said, I'm seeing someone kind, someone honest, someone who would never hurt something innocent. Jennifer's face crumpled. I hope she makes you happy. She does, I said. Actually, I need to go. I'm meeting her in 20 minutes. I started to walk past her, then stopped, turned back. Jennifer, I want you to know something. I don't think about you anymore. Not with anger, not with regret, not with anything. You're just someone I used to know who made terrible choices. I've moved on completely. I hope someday you can move on too. Her face showed shock, then pain, then something like acceptance. Goodbye, Marcus. Goodbye, I said. I walked away and didn't look back. Got in my car, drove to the trailhead where Sarah was waiting, and left Jennifer Lopez standing in that parking lot with her dented Honda and her ruined life. Months since our final confrontation, Jennifer showed up at my office building, violating the restraining order I filed after the third time she appeared at my workplace. Security called the police. She was arrested for violation of the law, spent a night in jail, and was ordered to attend counseling. She sent one final text from jail. I just wanted to tell you I'm moving to Oregon. Fresh start. I won't bother you anymore. I just need you to know I love you. I really did. I showed it to Kensington. He filed it with the court. Then I blocked her number permanently. 8 months after the confrontation, I married Sarah at a small ceremony overlooking the Puget Sound. 25 guests. No drama, no history. Just two people who found each other in the aftermath of pain and decided to build something new. During the ceremony, when it came time for vows, I spoke with my heart. I promise to be honest, even when it's hard. I promise to be present, even when I'm tired. I promise to protect what we build. And I promise to honor the trust you place in me every single day. Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes, and said her vows. I promise to see you clearly, to support your healing, to build our life on truth and respect. And I promise that our home will always be a safe place for the creatures who depend on us. We'd adopted a golden retriever puppy together the week before. His name was Phoenix, because sometimes things have to burn down completely before they can rise again. Laura's attended the wedding. Kensington sent a card. Dr. Morrison sent the flowers with a note. You did the work. You earned this. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Jennifer was working as a home health aide in Oregon. No nursing license yet. Still on probation. Living alone in a studio apartment. I felt nothing here. No satisfaction. No pity. Just indifference. The truth about revenge is that it's not about making someone suffer. It's about refusing to let injustice stand unchallenged. It's about holding people accountable for their choices. It's about protecting yourself and rebuilding what was destroyed. Jennifer didn't suffer because I wanted her to. She suffered because actions have consequences, and she'd committed actions that demanded. I thought about Cooper's feelings, about his loyalty and trust, about but I also thought about Phoenix, about his puppy energy and the way he always said about second chances and new beginnings. Justice isn't always right. It isn't always satisfying, but it's necessary, and sometimes trust, a dog who'd never know cruelty, a future built on solid ground. In the end, we both got exactly what we deserved, and I was finally completely free.